to hear from patients living with chronic pain. For those of you who are living with chronic pain and you're here today in the audience, we're really honored to have you here. We're aware that it takes quite an effort to come here to the White Oak campus, and we're also happy to see so many family members and patient advocates in the audience as well. I understand that we have hundreds more joining us on the webcast today, and we hope that you on the webcast will also be able to share your experiences as fully as you can. This is what we call a patient-focused drug development meeting. And you know, FDA has a lot of public meetings, and we do a lot of consultation of different kinds, but I want to tell you that patient-focused drug development meetings, PFDD, are special in that these are meetings where we usually have the, quote-unquote experts, with MD or PhD or some set of more initials after their name, spending all the time talking. This is a meeting where we mainly want to hear from patients. And if they have caretakers or caregivers who have insights about what their loved one is going through, then we want to maybe hear from them as well. But we're here to hear about what it's like to live with the disease. We recognize that patients are in a really unique position to tell us about that, because they're the ones who are living with that condition, and they're the people who are going to be taking the medication and getting any benefit there is to get out of it and suffering from whatever harms there might be exposed to that are often go with medications. There are usually benefits and risks. And we've had about 25 of these meetings so far in different serious disease areas. And every time we just hear from patients. And I got to tell you, every time we and the people who are experienced reviewers at FDA and who are doctors learn something new. We learn stuff we didn't know about that disease, even though we have some of our staff have treated patients with those diseases. We learn things we didn't know. We get insights about what it is really like to live with the disease and what would really be helpful in a treatment if a new treatment was developed. And these meetings really help inform our drug development, and they help inform companies about what they should be trying to develop in new medicines to treat conditions where there really isn't a good alternative today. And frankly, that's true for a lot of diseases. And similarly, in addition to FDA getting information that helps us in our benefit risk assessments of new drugs, this information and what patients have to tell us are uniquely informing drug companies and device companies in their development of new products, because they get to hear what patients really want to see in those treatments and what they want to avoid. Although FDA does not develop new medical products, we do oversee and advise drug product sponsors and medical product sponsors in their development programs. We issue written guidance to them about what they ought to be doing in development programs and the problems and mistakes to avoid. And we give them feedback and advice when they come in and request meetings on a specific development program. And before a new medical product can be marketed, the sponsor has to submit a marketing application that provides all the study data and information to FDA so we can assess whether or not the benefits of that product outweigh its risks. We look forward to incorporating what we learned today in gaining more understanding into what matters to patients when we consider the benefit risks of a new treatment for chronic pain. Today's meeting, focused on chronic pain, is an opportunity for us to hear directly from you, to learn about how chronic pain is affecting your life and the aspects of pain that are most bothersome to you and interfere with your ability to live your daily life. We also want to hear how you're managing your pain today, and we want to hear what are the benefits you're experiencing and what are the downsides of whatever treatments and modalities you're using, and what challenges you may be facing in getting access to medical treatments today. I'd like to note that we also have representation from health professionals, researchers, government partners, industry stakeholders, and others here in the room and on the webcast today. And I want to thank you all for joining the meeting as well. While FDA plays a critical role in protecting and promoting public health, we just are one part of that system. You all that I've just mentioned, the providers and other government researchers and partners in industry, represent the other doers and decision makers in this healthcare ecosystem, And we hope that you're also going to gain benefits and insights from what you hear today. I will tell you that after we posted the announcement of this meeting, a number of drug company representatives and staff that I've met over the last couple of months have told me that they're booking rooms in their company to have a whole room full of people be able to come and hear what you have to say today, because they think it's that important to inform their drug development programs going forward. So there are a lot of people who want to hear what you have to say. We also recognize that the impacts of chronic pain and its management have to be considered in the context of the opioid epidemic that's facing America today. While we work to ensure appropriate and rational prescribing of opioids to address that epidemic, FDA is committed to not lose sight of the needs of people living with serious chronic pain. As new policy steps are considered to address the opioid crisis, be assured that FDA remains focused on striking the right balance between reducing the rate of new addiction and decreasing exposure to opioids while still enabling appropriate access to patients who have a medical need. And this meeting is part of what we're doing to address that today. And again, I want to thank you for joining us in this meeting today. And now we'll get on with the meeting, and I'd like to begin by asking Dr. Hakpana to come up and do her presentation on the background on chronic pain and treatment options. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Sepide Hakpana. I'm a medical officer in the Division of Anesthesia, Analgesia, and Addiction Products. And I'm going to provide an overview of chronic pain. The outline of this presentation includes definition and epidemiology of chronic pain, types of chronic pain, impacts of chronic pain, evaluation and assessment, treatment options, patient-focused drug development, and conclusion. Closer. International Association of the Study of Pain defines pain as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage, or described in terms of such damage. Pain might be acute or chronic. The exact definition of acute versus chronic pain might be different based on the source or the reference that is used. For drug development at FDA, acute pain is defined as a type of pain that is self-limited and lasts less than a few weeks, such as post-operative pain or pain that is associated with musculoskeletal injury. Chronic pain is defined as a type of pain that persists longer than 1 month beyond the resolution of the underlying insult, or pain that persists beyond 3 months, such as chronic low back pain. Based on a report from Institute of Medicine in 2011, chronic pain affects more than 100 million adults in the United States. Pain contributes greatly to national rates of morbidity, mortality, and disability. Pain is one of the most frequent reasons for physician visits. Annual economic cost associated with chronic pain is estimated to be $560 to $635 billion. Pain can be divided based on the origin of the pain, whether it is nociceptive, neuropathic, or mixed nociceptive and neuropathic. Nociceptive pain is due to direct tissue damage and stimulation of nociceptive pain receptors. It can be subdivided into visceral or pain. Examples of visceral pain include pancreatitis, pain due to kidney stone, or post-operative abdominal pain. Examples of non-visceral pain include musculoskeletal pain or pain after orthopedic surgery. Neuropathic pain is due to primary damage or dysfunction in the central or peripheral nervous system. Examples of peripheral neuropathic pain include diabetic peripheral neuropathy or postherpetic neuralgia. Examples of central neuropathic pain include pain after spinal cord injury or pain after stroke. In some cases, chronic pain might be due to a combination of both neuropathic and nociceptive pain. Pain is complex. It may or may not be related to a specific disease or injury. Our focus for this meeting today is on chronic pain in general, of any type, any etiology, any characteristic, or any severity. What are some pain-related characteristics? Pain quality might be described as aching, throbbing, tingling, pinprick, burning, or stabbing. Where is the location of the pain? Is it localized or diffuse? Is it radiating to any other body parts? What are some temporal aspects of pain? Does the pain have a gradual onset or does it happen suddenly? Is the pain constant or intermittent? How severe is the pain? Is it mild, moderate, or severe? What are the trigger factors for the pain? What makes the all of these pain-related characteristics and the terms mild, moderate, or severe are often used both by patients and healthcare providers to describe the pain in different clinical settings. There are also other scales that are used for grading of the pain, such as a 0 to 10 scale. However, pain is a subjective experience. It is described differently by each patient and in each clinical condition. Chronic pain can have physical, social, emotional, and functional impacts. Chronic pain can cause weakness, sensory changes, gait problem, difficulty with mobility. Pain can result in sleep problem. Pain can cause emotional stress, anxiety, depression, or isolation. As a result of these, chronic pain patients may have difficulty maintaining employment or difficulty attending school or other daily activities. Pain can cause withdrawal from family. It can limit social relationships, such as interactions with friends or family members. Pain can limit activities of daily living, such as bathing, dressing, self-care, etc. Pain affects many different aspects of patients' lives, and we appreciate you providing input on the impact of chronic pain on your daily life. How do we evaluate and assess chronic pain? As we mentioned, pain is a uniquely individual and subjective experience. The tests and imaging studies that we perform provide information about underlying etiologies and comorbid diseases, but these tests do not provide direct assessment of the pain. Different types of tests that might be done are neurologic exam, physical exam, different types of imaging studies, nerve conduction studies, but ultimately, patient's input is the key factor in the evaluate understanding. There are multiple pharmacologic and non-pharmacologic options available for treatment of pain. Pharmacologic treatments include over-the-counter medication such as ibuprofen or acetaminophen, prescription drugs such as muscle relaxants, opioids, antidepressants, anticonvulsants, or topical agents. One of our discussion topics today is about pharmacologic treatment of chronic pain to get your feedback about different options. There are also multiple non-treatment options for chronic pain, such as physical therapy, exercise programs, manipulation, etc. Cognitive behavioral therapy, stress management, complementary and alternative medicine, such as acupuncture, herbal medicine, or biofeedback. Vocational rehabilitation and disability management are other important components in treatment of chronic pain. There are also different medical procedures available for chronic pain, such as nerve blocks, pain pumps, spinal cord stimulators, peripheral nerve stimulators, or different types of surgery. There are multiple options and considerations to determine the optimal treatment for chronic pain in each individual case. Treatment may focus on certain options or utilize a multidisciplinary treatment approach that provides an integrated management plan. Multidisciplinary pain programs provide a collaborative approach that includes different treatment options, both pharmacologic and non-pharmacologic. The focus of these programs is on individual assessment of each case to provide a comprehensive treatment to control the pain and improve quality of life. In order to achieve optimal results, healthcare providers and patients should work together to develop a treatment plan and set goals for each individual patient. What are treatment goals? In most cases of chronic pain, we cannot eliminate the pain completely. The goal of chronic pain treatment has evolved from trying to eliminate the pain to decreasing and controlling the pain to improve physical function, to improve social and emotional well-being, and in general, to improve quality. Potential barriers in treatment of chronic pain. Are the appropriate treatment options available and accessible for the patients? For example, multidisciplinary pain programs may not be available in rural areas, or there may be difficulty with availability of some medication. Cost or insurance coverage could be another important limiting factor, both for pharmacologic options and non-pharmacologic options. Time or duration of therapy may be another barrier. For example, be feasible for patients to take time off from work or school or from their daily activities to attend multiple therapy sessions. Side effects of the medication are another important barrier in the treatment. Chronic pain patients need to continue medication for a long period of time. It is very important to know if the medication remains effective and well tolerated for long-term use. There are gaps in treatment of chronic pain, and we acknowledge that there are state and federal actions that may have impacted some patients. Chronic pain remains an unmet medical need with physical, emotional, and social impacts on patients' life. There are numerous important public health issues related to chronic pain, but today we will focus on drug development. The purpose of this meeting as patient-focused drug development is to listen to you and obtain information from you as the main source who is suffering from chronic pain. Patients, caregivers, and family members, patient advocates, are experts in providing the information about the impact of pain on their lives and about available treatments. We want to hear your stories about chronic pain, impact of pain on your function, treatment goals, treatment barriers that you face in your daily life with chronic pain. Collecting information from patients' perspectives provides an opportunity for us at the FDA to enhance regulatory decision-making. FDA works with pharmaceutical companies to help them design the clinical trials that will assess the risk and benefits of drugs. These companies perform the studies and submit the information to FDA to support the approval of a new drug. Then FDA reviews these applications to ensure that a drug outweighs. Therefore, having this kind of meeting is extremely valuable for FDA to understand patients' perspective on chronic pain and the factors that patients consider when selecting a treatment. In conclusion, FDA is aware of the unmet medical needs experienced by patients who have chronic pain. Patient-focused drug development is a unique opportunity for the FDA to hear from patients, caregivers, and family members about the impacts of chronic pain on their lives. We are excited for this opportunity to engage directly with all of you to improve the drug development process for chronic pain. Thank you for being part of this meeting today, both in person and remotely on the web, to share your experience and perspectives with us. And thank you for your attention during this presentation.
Thank you. I also want to, as we're trying to solve the issue that we're having with the slides. We've had 25 meetings to date, as Teresa mentioned, but this is still a new technical issue. We've never not had slides, so thank you for your patience. So now we will be starting the patient-focused discussion portion of this meeting. Our goal today is to foster open dialogue on personal experiences and perspectives on chronic pain, Our two main topics for the discussion are symptoms, health effects, and daily impacts of chronic pain that matter most to patients, and current management approaches for your with a panel of individuals living with chronic pain. We selected panel discussants from the pool of participants who indicated their interest at the time of their meeting registration and submitted summaries that address the discussion questions posted in the Federal Register notice. We identified individuals to reflect a range of experiences with symptoms and treatment approaches. We have 4 panelists for the first topic, and I'll ask our topic 1 panelists to please come up front at this time. Thank you. After the panel speaks, we will broaden the dialogue to include other individuals with chronic pain and family members here in the audience and on the web. The purpose is to build on the experiences shared by the panel. I'll ask a number of follow-up questions, inviting participants to raise your hands to speak. My FDA colleagues sitting to my left may also have follow-up questions. We will have staff floating around with microphones, Sarah Eggers and Pujita Vaidya, and they will come to you with the microphone. So please just raise your hand. When speaking, you may remain anonymous or state your first name for the record. For transparency, we request that at the time of your comment that you disclose if you are affiliated with an organization that has an interest in issues related to chronic pain, or if your travel here today has been funded, or if you have significant financial interests in chronic pain medical product development. Please keep your responses focused on the specific question or topic at hand and limit to a minute or so. We have a packed agenda and a full room today. We have a large crowd, and we're really looking forward to the rich insight and input that you'll be providing us today. So please raise your hand if you have something to add to what has already been said. If you agree with a particular perspective or have had a similar experience, please feel free to nod your heads or clap. We will have some polling questions today as well. We ask that only individuals with chronic pain, family members, or advocates respond. If you are in the room, you will respond using clickers. Most of you should have received a clicker by now, but if you have not received a clicker, please raise your hand and Shannon will come around and provide you with a clicker. Thanks, Shannon. For some questions, for the polling questions, you'll have one answer. For others, you may have multiple answers. You should feel a little buzz when you click, which means that our system captured your answer. And we'll have a few practice questions in a bit to make sure we're not having any technical difficulties. If your clicker doesn't work, please just let us know by raising your hand again and we'll bring you another one. Web participants will also be able to answer the question through the webcast. And I'll turn to our webcast moderators from time to time to summarize the results that we're seeing on the web. These polling questions are meant to be a discussion aid for today. They are not a scientific survey. For those of you joining us via webcast, in addition to responding to the polling questions, you can also add comments through the web platform. There's a discussion pod. Although we may not be able to read all of the comments out loud today, your comments will be incorporated into our summary report. We also have a public docket that will be open until September 10th. I took a look at the docket this morning and we already have 973 comments received from your community. And this docket will be open for 2 more months after the meeting. And so we're really hoping that you'll add to the dialogue through this docket as well. We encourage you to share your experiences and expand on what we discussed today through this docket. And the docket comments will all be, we'll read all of them and we will include a summary of them in our report as well. Anyone is welcome to comment to the docket, and the link is on the slide deck, which we will post online, and we'll also circulate it via email to you all as well after the meeting. A few ground rules for the discussion today. We are here first and foremost to listen to those with chronic pain and their family members. We will try to accommodate everyone who wants to speak. If we don't get your full thoughts on a topic, we encourage you to elaborate in the public docket. We are happy to see participants here today who represent healthcare provider, research, and medical product development communities. We believe the input we hear today will be important to you as well. We just ask that you stay in listening mode. Some of you may have requested to participate in the open public comment, and we look forward to your input then. During the main focus dialogue, we really are here to engage and hear from individuals with chronic pain and their family members. FDA staff is also really here to listen. We know that you may have questions about medical product development, review, and policy. If you have specific questions, we encourage you to write them down on your evaluation forms, which you can find on the tables outside, and we will try to get back to you with more information following the meeting. As has been described, our discussion today is focused on chronic pain health effects, daily impacts, and management approaches. We understand that there are several important issues to ensuring that individuals with chronic pain get the health care, treatment, and support that they need. Today, we want to focus on the topics that FDA needs most input on, so that we can best fulfill our role in the medical product development process and decision-making. Our discussion today may touch upon specific treatments. However, the discussion of any specific treatments should be done in a way that helps us understand the broader issues, such as what aspects of your chronic pain are being addressed and how meaningful is that to you and your families. The views here expressed here today are personal opinions. They are not just opinions, they're personal stories. And everyone has their own story and their own experience, and we must respect that today. Respect for one another is paramount. We will have differing views on things today and differing experiences, and we will listen to it respectfully. We very much appreciate what complex and personal stories that we are addressing in this public setting, and we expect everyone here and on the web to share that same appreciation. Yeah, I think Graham is trying to advance my slides. Thanks, Graham. We do want your feedback on the meeting. As I mentioned, we have evaluation forms outside on the tables. What we learn will help us to continue to design and implement patient-focused meetings that are useful to FDA and to individuals and their families. So please fill those out, and we'll collect them at the end of the meeting. With that, let's begin with a polling question. I'm always very nervous with the first one because technology, you know. Okay, so folks in the room, please use your clickers. Where do you live? So if you live within the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, including the Virginia and Maryland suburbs, please press A. If you live outside of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, please press B. And you'll hear a small buzz, a short buzz, if our system captured your response. If you don't get any buzzing, please raise your hands and we'll bring another clicker to you. Yours may have run out of battery. Shannon? Can you get a clicker? Thank you. I see responses coming. Yes, and folks on the webcast, you should have access to these questions as well through your webcast platform, and so hopefully we'll see your responses summarized through our webcast moderators in a few moments. Okay. It was working so well.
Yeah, I do. So we had about 80% outside the Washington, D.C. area, so greatly appreciate you traveling to the meeting. And on the web, as you'd expect, about 90% outside the D.C. area.
Okay, thank you, Graham. We have another polling question. We can't see it, so I'm going to read it out loud and just ask me if you need me to repeat any of what the options and so forth are. The question is, which statement best describes you? Great, thanks, Graham. A, an individual who experiences chronic pain. B, a family member or caregiver of an individual who experiences chronic pain. C, an advocate for individuals who experience chronic pain. Yes, you may be, correct. I think we may have set this to pick one, but there are some others later on where you'll be able to select multiple answers. But thank you so much for highlighting that point. Thank you. Okay, can we get some results, Graham? Okay, now you know what it will look like if we're able to see the slides. 59%, 60% of you in the room today are an individual who experiences chronic pain, those of you that are responding to the polling questions. 16% a family member or caregiver or an individual who experiences chronic pain, and 25% an advocate for individuals who experience chronic pain. And as the lady pointed out, we may have some overlap there. So great, thank you. The next question that we have is, what is your or your loved one's age? So those of you that are a family member, a caregiver, an advocate, please respond on behalf of an individual with chronic pain for the questions moving forward. So what is your or your loved one's age? A, younger than 18, B, 18 to 29, C, 30 to 39, D, 40 to 49, E, 50 to 59, F, 60 to 69, G, 70 or greater. Okay, we have a range of participants in the room here today with 38% in the age range of 40 to 49 years old. Great. Could we have our next polling question, Graham? Thank you. Do you or your loved one identify as A, female, B, male, C, other? Anyone having any issues respond with their clickers, or I think we have everyone's working? Great. Oh, I changed it.
So we have about 74% female and 26% male, and on the web, very similar, 78 and 22.
Great. And I'll ask the webcast moderator to summarize all of the demographic polling questions in a few minutes for us as well. Thank you. The next question that we have, how long have you or your loved one experienced chronic pain? A, less than 1 year. B, 1 year to 2 years. C, 2 years to 5 years. D, 5 years to 10 years. E, more than 10 years. F, I'm not sure. Okay. Wow, significant majority of you all have experienced chronic pain for more than 10 years in the room today. Thank you. I think we have one more polling question left. It's doing something new now? Okay. What type of chronic pain do you or your loved one experience? Here you can check all that apply. A, cancer pain. B, post-surgical or post-traumatic pain. C, neuropathic or nerve pain. D, headache. E, orofacial pain, such as mouth, jaws, and face. F, visceral organ pain. G, musculoskeletal pain, such as arthritis. H, I don't know. I, other. All. You can check all that apply. You can check all that apply. Graham?
All right. So we had response 70 skeletal pain, followed by 63% with neuropathic pain. And then we had post-surgical, headaches, orofacial, and visceral organ pain, all at around 25 to 30%. And then 20% said other.
Okay, we'll probe into what the other may be later on during the facilitated discussion. That'll be interesting for us to hear. We have a range of participants in the room. I do want to turn to our webcast moderators now to perhaps summarize who we have on the web participating.
So for pain, we have about 80% neural, about 40 to 45% post-surgical and headache, and then about 20% for all of the rest. And similarly to those in the room, almost 70% of people on the webcast have had chronic pain for more than 10 years.
Okay, thank you, Graham. With that, I'd like to start with our first panel now. If we could have the slide, Graham, thank you. So as I mentioned previously, topic one will really focus on hearing your perspectives on the symptoms and daily impacts of chronic pain that matter most to you. We'll kickstart with our panelists. We have 3 joining us in person. Our fourth panelist, Debbie, was stuck in Beltway traffic for 2.5 hours this morning, and as individuals with chronic pain, you probably understand much better than even I can how difficult that really is. And she was unable to sit any longer and continue the commute in, so I will be reading her remarks on her behalf, but she really does wish that she could have joined us in person here today. With that, Amy. Yes, please just press the red button. And then once you're done speaking, if you can turn it off, that'll help reduce the extra background noise and so forth. that looks good.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Amy Partridge. I am an intractable pain patient. I am not an addict. I thought I knew pain. Thank you. I thought I knew pain. I dealt with chronic back pain for decades. 3 years ago, I learned how bad pain can really be. I also learned how to fight. Starting in 2013, I had a series of spinal surgeries and epidural steroid injections. During the sixth, and what would be my final injection in 2015, I knew something was wrong, very wrong. Over the next 6 months, as my pain spiraled out of control, I saw countless specialists and I fought for a diagnosis. Wow, did I get one? Adhesive arachnoiditis. As I listened, the doctor explained how scar tissue had grown on the inside of my spinal cord. That scar tissue was and still is strangling the nerves in my spinal cord and has adhered them to the walls of my spinal cord, cementing them there. Adhesive arachnoiditis is inoperable, permanent, and progressive. It has been described as the pain of end-stage bone cancer without the escape of death. Sorry. It is one of only a few conditions referred to as a suicide disease. I went from being a mom, a wife, and an executive at the peak of my career to spending nearly every moment in the daybed in my family room. Thank you. I fought my body to allow me to do even a fraction of what I was once able to do. The pain was excruciating and constant. One wrong move and it felt like there was a hatchet in my spine. Pain varied from jellyfish stings to a red-hot poker being shoved into my hip. I missed some big events that year: weddings, funerals, and countless functions. More difficult were the everyday things that I missed. Being able to stand long enough to braid my daughter's hair, sitting long enough to eat Thanksgiving dinner with my family at the dinner table. Simple things that we take for granted. My husband took over, phenomenal man, every household chore, and my mom helped with errands and driving me to appointments. My children had to adapt to having a mom who was mostly bedbound. Our lives were turned upside down, but I fought my mind to accept that at 38, I was in fact disabled. I fought back tears as I ordered myself a wheelchair and an electric mobility scooter so that I could get out of the house more often, only to find that I could rarely sit long enough to use them. I fought for doctors to acknowledge how much pain I was in. I fought adrenal fatigue, exhaustion, and episodes of intense sweating. I fought for long-term disability. That first year, I spent fighting for many things, but mostly I fought for treatment. I fought side effects from countless medications and therapies that my doctors prescribed. None worked. I fought to change my diet, and I have a gallon Ziploc bag filled with bottles of supplements that didn't work. The pain was so bad that I actually asked my doctor if they could surgically paralyze me from the waist down. But not even that would rid me of the pain. There was no escape, no way out, just pain. I fought to be seen by one of the only physicians in the world specializing in arachnoiditis. Fortunately, he agreed to see me. I left my first appointment, which was 3,000 miles from home, with a new sense of hope. These medications worked. And yes, some of them are pain medications. I returned home only to fight again. This time I fought the pharmacies, who flat out refused to fill my legitimate prescriptions. All medications carry risk. But when you have an incurable condition and spend all day in bed, unable to truly live, risk is relative. Thank you. I then fought the DEA, who raided my doctor's office and accused us as patients of trafficking drugs. I will never be pain-free, but with these medications, the pain is manageable enough that I can usually leave the house for an hour or two without having to lie down. I still suffer. I will always suffer from debilitating pain that will never go away. I'll never work full-time again. And I still have bad days where I miss events, but on good days, I'm able to live again. But I still fight. I fight the stigma of being a pain patient, a stigma that nearly cost me my life. Thank you. The stigma that nearly cost me my life in January when an ER doc was so convinced I was an addict that he missed the perforation in my colon on the CT scan and tried to send me home. I fight for everyone who can't be here today because their medications have been ripped away. I fight for the post-op patients being given Tylenol. Fun fact, NSAIDs have killed more people than prescription pain meds every year. I fight for my daughters who may someday need pain medication for the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that I passed on to them. I fight for morality, thank you, and compassion and common sense to be returned to medicine. I fight for politicians to stop practicing medicine. We are not the problem. Thank you all. We are not the problem, neither is pain medication. The numbers don't lie. It is illicitly manufactured fentanyl causing this crisis. We must restore access to pain medication for all patients and mandate that these physicians treat our pain and enable them to do so without fear of prosecution. Thank you. Our lives literally depend on it, and someday yours could too. So members of the FDA, will you stand and fight with me, with us? Because as Americans, we have the fundamental rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the last time I checked, those rights don't exist if you have a certain medical condition. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Next, Katie.
Hello. Hi. First of all, I just wanted to say, Amy, I completely relate, unfortunately, to so much of what you said regarding medications and how we're treated like addicts. I've had a lot of the same experiences. So, my name is Katie. I'm 26 years old, and I have widespread, severe chronic pain all over my body. My pain is a result of a laundry list of chronic conditions that has impacted my overall well-being in any and every way possible. And most of what I struggle with is, like many people with chronic conditions, invisible to an outsider. I have a neurological disease in which excess pressure is put on my brain, causing nerve, muscle, and joint pain in my extremities. In addition, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective tissue disorder which also impacts my joints, upon many other bodily functions. It is very under-researched and very misunderstood by the medical community. I have chronic pelvic pain and interstitial cystitis, a very painful bladder condition that basically feels like a 24/7 UTI. 8 years, burning, irritation, frequent infection, and generalized pain. And I was diagnosed with Lyme disease officially, along with several parasites or co-infections, in late 2016 after many years of valiantly and persistently fighting for answers. My pain is not managed by over-the-counter drugs. My pain is not intermittent. My pain has kept me up at night for most of my adult life. And even after finally getting the answers I fought for so long, hoping that it would finally mean relief, my pain has been invalidated, my pain has been dismissed, and my pain has been willfully ignored. Regardless of the cause, it is there, it is debilitating, and it is so all-encompassing that it is very difficult to manage effectively. As a young adult who has spent the majority of my adult life bedridden, I would love to be able to have an active and fulfilled life, but I can barely drive to my appointments, let alone anywhere else, without immense dizziness and writhing in pain. I managed to graduate college, but often had a very difficult time feeling well enough to attend class. As no one understood what was going on for so many years, it became very easy to blame myself for feeling so sick. I also developed severe anxiety. Many of us with chronic pain feel like we could be trying harder, and it's important to remember that no one can make that determination or observation for us. We know how hard we are trying. We may not always look it, but trust that we are internally suffering and that it's not our fault. I have never been able to sustain employment, and without the financial security I need, as it's equally as difficult to be granted disability benefits, a full life feels unattainable. I have had no choice but to remain dependent and stuck in many ways while my peers are getting married, having kids, and pursuing a career. Because of my chronic pain, I became both physically and emotionally isolated. Young adults are supposed to be discovering themselves in the world, but my chronic pain has not only hindered me physically, but in many ways, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically. It has caused me to feel lost. It has caused me to feel hopeless and defeated. And as I am relatively young, acceptance that this will be a lifelong battle is still difficult to register with me. But it has also shown me my strength. And although I feel behind, I've actually grown up much faster. My chronic pain has only worsened over time. The impact of our current medical system on the emotional well-being of patients creates a grueling cycle. We aren't receiving the proper care we need and have thus become overwhelmed by the pain. The emotional burden thereby creates more physical pain, and so on. They often proceed to handle the issue by sending patients into psychiatric treatment instead of tackling the underlying cause. I went from being able to attend class occasionally to strictly bedbound these past 2.5 years. Our system needs to change if patients want to have a full and sustainable life.
Thank you, Katie. Next, 10.
Good morning. My name is Ten Sidnor Campbell, and I have rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, blah, 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 blah. My chronic pain is both nebulous and rebellious. It doesn't have a specific daily routine or even an hourly location. It roams to different parts of my body like a nomad. Let me give you an example. I can start the morning with incredible pain in my feet, so much so that I stay in bed for as long as my bladder allows. If I'm lucky, the pain won't start wandering yet. If not, something like my back or my shoulder or my neck is singing the blues. It ranges in intensity just as much it ranges in location. The only range I don't have is of motion. Of course, I have some areas that are more frequently affected. That'd be my wrists, my neck, low back, my legs. I got bilateral knee replacements, so luckily my knees don't affect me as much as they used to. My right foot is currently broken because, well, my feet don't always do what they're told to, and I was trying to walk up the steps in my house. I've fallen like 4 times, but this is the first time I broke something. Lucky me. Most significant mobility symptom I experience is that range of motion, but it happens in any joint at any time. I can start eating dinner, and before I'm done, I might not be able to hold the fork because my fingers hurt so bad. Or my jaw might get that little bit of searing pain that's like an arrow shooting right through the TMJ joint to the other side of my head. So I have to stop eating until something goes away. Chronic pain has completely changed my life, and I'm still adjusting to this new existence 8 years into my diagnosis. I was used to doing stuff all the time. Physically, I can't do 75% of what I used to. I used to be a massage therapist. Nowadays, I can barely rub lotion on my own hands, let alone anyone else. So I bet you're wondering what activities I can't do anymore. I used to be a competitive swimmer. Spending hours in the pool was second nature to me. I used to ride my bike 22 miles a day, round trip to work. That as a teenager, then even as a young adult, as a parent, as a wife, I was still working out. I was still doing this at 40. In fact, I completed my first triathlon at the age of 40. 1 month later, I was so incredibly sick that I could not stand up straight. 3 months before I was diagnosed, all of that came to a complete stop. Looking back before the diagnosis, I'd had bad days, but now I was sick, like really sick. A few hospitalizations and surgeries later, I couldn't keep working. Trying to push through the pain only damaged my body further. No sleep because pain, no rest because pain, not staying awake because fatigue and pain. Mind you, this is all while trying to get a daggone disease under control, to have a fighting chance at some level of normalcy. No more softball with my coworkers, no more dancing with the hubster, no more attending every friend and family gathering, walking and running, gone. Putting on my swimsuit was such a painful experience that it left me in tears several times before I had to give it up. I don't even wear pants with zippers anymore because, you know, pained fingers and zippers, they're like the kids in that commercial that says, oh no, we have a situation. I've been married for over 24 years, and yes, this has affected my intimacy with my husband too. You name it, it's been affected. Don't forget all the medications that manage this disease. Some are just deadly to the libido. I avoid those at all possible. My chronic pain has evolved over 8 years in several ways. It's gone from being an unknown source with debilitating features to a known source with debilitating features. No regular day-to-day activities, pre-diagnosis yet. I'm hopeful that this will not always be the case, but 8 years has taught me not to expect too much from even one good day, let alone a good week. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ten. I'd now like to read Debbie's comments, and I'm reading on behalf of Debbie from her perspective. Hi, I'm a 50-year-old who was diagnosed with CRPS 4 years ago. This condition is extremely painful, labeled as the most painful condition known to man by the McGill Pain Index. My pain is a constant burning sensation, a lot like you have your shoulder put into ice and you have passed the point where it's cold and now has become very uncomfortable. The point your body has reached the panic mode. You have a need to do something to get away from it, yet you have no idea how to do it. I live on the edge of that panic every day, all day. Sometimes the pain is just mentally exhausting. Other times, I am in the panic mode. Panic to the point of fast heartbeat, breathing heavy, and sweating, looking for anything that gives some kind of relief. Then there is the pressure, tight, hard pressure, like a tight spandex band has been wrapped around my upper arm and across my left shoulder and chest, a strange heavy feel to it. Well, with this, I have skin sensitivity that creates a shocking sensation when anything touches me. It is an electrical shock similar to being zapped by an outlet. It makes wearing clothing difficult. I look for the lightest weight shirts I can find. I have to use a skin numbing spray before getting dressed to help erase some of this. But I live in constant fear of anything touching me, like people who are huggers or waitresses who like to pat you on your shoulder. I also have severe muscle spasms that continue constantly. They are like a wave in an ocean. They start at my neck and roll just like a wave in the water to the end of my shoulder. They then come back and roll again. These spasms are very tiring and painful. Pain also consumes your thoughts. When I'm sitting in a room with family, the family may be watching TV and enjoying a movie. However, I am thinking about what I can do about my pain. What will make it better? I am thinking, I should get another pillow and put it under my arm. Maybe I should try the heating pad again. I bet my pain rub is wearing off again. My breakthrough meds are not helping me right now. God, why can't I get this to stop for just a few minutes? A time when I should be creating memories with my loved ones has become out of reach for me. I cannot concentrate on the TV. I can only catch bits and pieces of the movie. Later, when they are talking and laughing about what they watched, I feel left out. Even though I was in that room, I can tell you very little of what I watched. People want to know just how bad can this pain really be. This pain has pushed me to my breaking point. One night, coming home from an emergency room visit, we were driving down Interstate 81 at 65 miles per hour. My mind was so overwhelmed with that pain, I reached up and tried opening my door so I could jump out of the car. This was not a suicide attempt. It was an overwhelming thought. Maybe if I could just make something else hurt, it would take my mind away from the pain I was feeling. You may think that makes no sense. How is creating more pain going to help? Have you ever bit down on your lip when something hurt really bad? That is your subconscious way of dealing with the pain. If your lip hurts from you biting on it, then the other pain just does not seem as bad. My pain is so severe, my mind thought the only way to cope with the pain was to slam my body onto a hard surface at 65 miles per hour. I thank God doors are really hard to open with 65 miles per hour wind pushing on them. Thank God my husband thought fast enough to grab my arm and slam on the brakes. You see, my pain does not just affect me. It affects my husband, who always has his guard up and ready to help me all the time. My son, who knows how bad the pain can be if I am touched. If I am touched, he plays bodyguard and protects me from the huggy people and the touchy waitresses. I always thought if you dealt with the pain long enough, you eventually get used to it. The pain gradually becomes less until you no longer pay attention to it. Not with CRPS. Every morning when I wake up, that is if I was lucky enough to go to sleep, it is like starting all over. My body has found a whole new level of pain it can achieve and wants to push me to the limit. I want to ask everyone to give a round of applause to all of our Topic 1 panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. So our Topic 1 panelists did a really nice job of setting a foundation for us to build on now. And so what I'll do is I'll be asking for folks in the audience to really add to what we've heard so far and really build on what we've been talking about so far. So thank you again to our Topic 1 panelists. First, by a show of hands, how many of you heard your or your loved one's own experiences reflected in what we've heard so far? Okay. For those of you on the webcast, you may not be able to see, but almost all, if not all, of the hands went up from the front of the room where individuals with chronic pain and family members are sitting. Okay. We have a couple more polling questions to help set the context of some of the key characteristics reflecting the range of experiences that we have in the room today. So Graham, if I could see our first polling question for this topic. And this first question will really be asking, how do your chronic pain symptoms typically manifest? And so for this question, you are allowed to check all that apply. A, I have periods without pain. B, my pain appears suddenly. C, my pain appears subtly. D, my pain is intermittent. E, I always have pain and the intensity changes over time. F, I always have pain and the intensity doesn't change over time. G, my pain worsens over time. H, I don't know. I, my pain manifests in another way. Sorry, am I blocking? And we have this polling question open for the folks on the webcast as well, so please feel free to respond through the webcast platform. Thank you. Okay. We have a range of perspectives in the room. We have 75% of you indicated that your pain, you always have pain and the intensity changes over time. 57% indicated that your pain appears suddenly. 40% for my pain appears, suddenly for 57%, and then 40% subtly, or one of the other options that I can't see right now. Sorry, I can't memorize all of that. So can we have a summary of what we're seeing on the web, Graham?
The webcast is pretty similar. The vast majority of people, 83%, say they always have pain and the intensity changes over time. And about half, 52%, says that their pain worsens over time. I also just wanted to add, we have about 600 people on the web and almost at least 3 patients responding to listening in.
Okay, thank you, Graham. So I see 20% of you nearly indicated that your pain manifests in another way. So folks that indicated that response, would you mind explaining to us how your pain manifests, what that other way may be? And if you raise your hand, we have Puchita and Sarah with microphones. Hello?
Hi, I have pain all the time, but I have, which Dr. Lewis explained to me, the best way to explain it is metabolic storage disorder, hypercalcemia from sarcoidosis. So sunlight turns into calcium in my blood system. 20 minutes, I'm in agony. A few hours, my vital organs calcify. So basically, I can't go out in the sun, and it's very limiting. I have other problems from sarcoidosis, but that's the worst. So one of the things that everyone enjoys, the sun, I cannot enjoy. Not only I cannot enjoy it, it could be fatal to me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We have... Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I have a laundry list of conditions, like many of us do. When you have one autoimmune condition, you usually have 7. Conditions is Ehlers-Danlos, but it is the pain that has been caused by my conditions has also given me severe PTSD. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that it's not just the physical manifestations of pain, but the emotional manifestations of pain. When you go through pain your entire life, when you experience all of this hurt with no sense of relief and no time down, it emotionally and it comes out as anger, it comes out as anxiety, it comes out as frustration.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have another quick show of hands questions. So right now, sitting here in the room, how many of you are experiencing pain that you would describe as mild? Right now, sitting here in the room right now, how many of you are experiencing pain that you would describe as mild? Okay. For those of you on the web, perhaps 5 to 10 hands went up. Okay. How many of you are experiencing pain right now that you would characterize as moderate? Many more hands went up for folks on the web. And then how many of you are experiencing pain that you would describe as being severe right now while you're sitting in this room? And we've had hands go up for this too, from the front of the room as well as the back, for those of you on the web. Okay.
Can I interrupt and say,
Yes.
a lot of times I have pain that's mild in some areas and moderate in others. So
Okay.
it's like mild, moderate, depends on the area of body that we're talking about.
Okay.
Right now, head, boom.
Okay. Thank you for that comment, 10. I think we will take one more comment from up here.
And actually, this comment is for the group because many of us, polled on this, and you can see what the results were. But by a show of hands, how many of you experience at least half of these at any given time?
Okay.
It
We had
varies.
all the hands go up for those of you on the webcast. Okay. Thank you for helping me out. Can we have our next polling question? Of course. Can you just wait for a microphone to hear what you're saying?
You asked about the severity of the pain.
Yes.
And what a lot of medical professionals don't realize is when you live with chronic pain, you can be in severe pain but physically look okay. You learn to live with a higher level of pain.
Yes, I think Katie mentioned the invisibility, and so this is touching upon that. We'll take. How many of you have said that you're faking it, right, at any given point? Faking being okay, yes. Okay. We'll take one more comment. Sarah, there's a woman right behind you, and then we'll take one more here, and then we do have a couple more questions that I think will help put more details around this. Go ahead.
I've had my doctor say that it's amazing that you're sitting here smiling when you're in so much pain. That's how we learn to fake it till we make it. Because people...
Okay, thank you.
I've lost lots of friends due to my chronic pain because they don't know how to deal with the changed person that I've become.
A lot of head nods. So a lot of what you're saying is reflecting with others in the audience, and I'm sure on the webcast as well. We have one more comment here.
I just want to quickly, I just want to quickly note that, for those of us who are saying mild to moderate pain right now, I think it's important to realize that a lot of that is because we are medicated. That we are being treated. It's not that our pain is not severe, it's that right now we're medicated. And that's the only reason we can be here.
Okay. Let me ask one more question then on this topic. By a show of hands, how many of you will experience severe pain by the end of the meeting today, or at least by the end of the day when you go to bed tonight, because you're sitting here for many hours? Okay. Thank you so much. We understand that this a lot of effort and time and courage from all of you. Thank you so much for coming here. Could we have the next polling question, Graham? Or I'll read it.
It's up right now, so you can read it.
Until the slide comes back. Okay, so the question is, over the course of a typical day, how much time do you spend in pain? You can't laugh yet. Wait for this. A, several minutes. Now you're supposed to laugh. B, less than 4 hours. C, between. D, more than 12 but less than 24 hours. E, all day, 24 hours. Please use the clickers to respond. Yes, thank you. And the folks on the webcast are also responding to this. Okay. Please just wait for the microphone, just so that the folks on the web can also hear what folks are saying.
If you are well managed with a pain doctor, those numbers can vary greatly.
And even in the room right now, we're seeing a range of experiences as far as how much time you spend in pain in a given day. The majority, 70% of you indicated that you're in pain all day, 24 hours. So with this polling question and the previous one, we're seeing some characteristics of how you experience your chronic pain. What I'd be interested in hearing from you is, what characteristics of your pain are most bothersome to you? For example, in addition to frequency and severity, about unpredictability in the comments that we've received. A couple of you speak to the unpredictability or some of the other bothersome aspects of your chronic pain. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say, first of all, that little scale with the smiley face, I hate that. And I tell the doctor, you have a glass of water and it's half full. I have a 5-gallon bucket and it's running over the top. I have adhesive arachnoiditis, by the way, but it's just that, and the degree of pain that AA patients suffer is, well, we die without care. And the most irritating thing for me is no doctor knows what we are and how to treat us and or will treat us. And so it's impossible to get diagnosed and to find care. And they just, got rid of the only doctor in the United States that is doing research in our disease, the only doctor in the world.
Thank you. Thank you. So quickly again, what are some of the other bothersome aspects of your chronic pain? We'll start here and then work our way across to folks across the room. Just hold it.
Is it working? Okay. One thing I would say is, where pain comes on suddenly when you can't predict what it's going to do, and with the restrictions that have come into play with the rapidly acting medications, which need to be used carefully. Of course, either the breakthrough meds or just even the turf type medications. There are people, just like with cancer, that even if they don't have cancer, that it can basically ruin their whole day, and what could be something bad just spirals into something that just feeds it, keeps on feeding into itself. If it was stopped earlier, it would have been a non-issue, and I think
That's a really important point. Thank you. Thank you. Sarah? Okay, we'll alternate from this side and that side. Okay.
Hello. My name is Lynn, and I'm one of the original research patients for years for CRSD. And recently I discovered I had adhesive arachnoiditis, and only one man in America would treat me because I went and I looked. Because we stopped doing the research. You want to know about the pain? For 28 years, I was deeper undercover than deep throat, because if I admitted how sick I was, even though I went to work, I wouldn't be able to get a job, because the discrimination against a contractor with chronic pain, I wouldn't be able to buy the meds that brought me enough relief so that I could do my job. And every day, the prayer was I could just continue to work so I wouldn't be a burden on my family. It was hard to wear clothes. I had to dress for success. Try finding a business suit that looks good when clothing hurts, okay? Because appearance was so important.
We've heard from several participants as clothing is trigger, perhaps. I'm not sure, but kind of increases intensity or the severity, or like causes you to have a flare up, for example. Correct? And I'm seeing a lot of head nods. Can others speak to perhaps other triggers or other things during your day that may cause an increase in severity? Okay.
Going back to the slide that deals with, how
much time
grading, how much time you spend in pain. One of the aspects that doesn't get talked about, but contributes, is that people lose contact with the normal life continuum of benchmarks. That is, for young people, they enter employment. If you have chronic pain, you don't enter employment. You can barely get through high school and college. If you are getting married, or your friends are getting married, you're not getting married because you can't keep relationships long enough. If other people are having babies, you're not building a family. And so as time goes on, chronic pain pulls you away from the contact with your daily life. It contributes to isolation. It contributes to the notion that you are malingering, that you are not worthy of the care that you need because you're not contributing. And so when we look at the social and cultural aspects of chronic pain, we have to pay attention to that. It's very important.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Some on this side.
Hi, I have a 16-year-old son, and mine is the predictability that he was feeling. It's predictable that I'm going to be in bed 80% of every single day. And was filling out his first application to get his first job, and he didn't put me down as a contact, an emergency contact, because he knows that I can't be there for him. And that's the part, is he knows. He asked, Mom, can we go for my driver's license? Do you think when is your best time? When can we go? How many hours do you think you'll be out of bed that day? That's my problem, is that I know 80% of the day. And all I think we have here is the only solution for arachnoiditis is just palliative care. And that's all we want, to have a life. Just give me my life back that I lost so I can build memories. And that's all I want.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. We'll take a couple more comments before the next question. And just to let you know, the next question is really going to probe further on the daily impacts of living with chronic pain. So we'll hear more about the emotional as well as some of the other impacts as well. So Amanda.
Hi, I just wanted to say I have chronic cauda syndrome, which is kind of like adhesive arachnoiditis, but from a different etiology. I also represent Cauda Equina Foundation. You asked for us to say that. That's about 2,000 members with Cauda Equina syndrome. I wanted to say that my triggers for estrogen spikes. So I cannot have children because I have to remain on birth control. Plus my medications can cause birth defects. And I can't imagine my life without those medications to get through a pregnancy. I'm 35. When I got injured, I was 28 and we were trying. And I can't babysit my nephew. My friends have children. I can't hold them, carrying them, because I don't know when I'm going to get something stabbing me in the leg that's not actually there. And I have just randomly fallen. What if I was holding my child or my friend's child? I've dislocated a shoulder. I've broken my wrists. I've gotten hurt from falling. What if I did that with my own child? What if they're running out in traffic and I can't chase them? So that's what chronic pain took from me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Amanda. We have one comment over there in the back.
Hi, my name is Stella, and I won't go through all the list of my ailments like we all have. But when your original question was, what other pain do you have? When my doctor retired, who took care of me for 30 years, he retired. And I honestly think he retired very, very quickly, and I think it was because of this opioid crisis, and he might have been prescribing more than what the FDA or whoever is in charge of it, CDC, whatever. Anyway, I had to find another doctor. Nobody will take over another doctor's prescription. I went to a pain management doctor who said, well, I'm going to start weaning you down because they're on my back. I got to fill out a lot of paperwork. And I'm not even close to the level. There's a number, 90, whatever it is. I'm not near that. I'm maintained on a normal, nice dose, like however you want to say it. But this doctor don't like the way I'm weaning you. Go find another doctor. So I go find another doctor, and he says, "Oh, my doctor's gone. What do I do? Cold turkey? What am I supposed to do?" And every single new doctor I went to said, we will not do this because of the paperwork the FDA and the CDC makes us fill out. We're not DEA, whoever it is. But I have doctors telling me I don't want to do it because of the paperwork. I also have cancer. It's a chronic. My pain isn't coming from your cancer. So I'm not going to prescribe it because of the paperwork I have to fill out involved. This is disgusting. It's so disgusting.
Thank you for sharing that really important perspective. And in the afternoon, we'll really be probing and hearing more about some of the challenges and barriers that you have in accessing your preferred or optimal therapy, specifically what may have changed over the past few years as well. I do want to turn to the webcast really quickly and just see what's happening on the web. And see if we can get a summary. Thanks, Shannon.
So we have a couple of folks that shared a lot of things similar to the room. We have a lot of claps for you guys. People have shared a lot of their triggers with pain, which included things such as showers, noise, car rides, standing for long periods, cold weather, and sometimes even stress. A lot of folks have also echoed the mental impacts of chronic pain, issues with depression and anxiety, and people have also highlighted multiple ways their pain manifests. So one person states, arthritis, but I also have. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. And I do want to take a quick moment to look at my FDA panelists here and see if anyone has any follow-up questions before we move on to the next polling question. Okay, Shannon, or Sharon, sorry.
Hi. Hi. Once again, I'm Sharon Hertz, and I'm the director of the review division that reviews new drug applications for analgesics, including opioids, and also is responsible for overseeing some of the post-marketing information about opioids. What I would like to hear about, not even necessarily right now, but some of the comments about access, and I believe we'll get into that more, I think we need to hear more about, not just from you, but from others that you might know, and any consequences from that. So there's today, but also you can write into the docket, and it's very powerful to have the written statements on the docket. So I just want to encourage everybody that if they want to emphasize anything they've had the opportunity to say, or if they haven't had an opportunity to have the microphone, we are going to read all of those comments because it's that important. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Graham, could we have the next polling question, please? Okay. So the question is, what are the most bothersome impacts of your chronic pain on your daily life? And we've touched upon some of these already. We are going to ask you to please choose up to 3 impacts. And we did question it so that was intentional. We do want to really find out what those most bothersome impacts are. It's all of the above. Okay. 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 All of the above. Okay. The system will actually only capture 3 as well, even if you were to select all of them. But we have it noted, all of them, and I will read you since. Okay, okay, sorry, just if you could wait for a microphone to come to you, just so that folks on the web can also. But before we start going into the comments, I do want to read the options so folks can respond first. A, ability to participate in or perform activities such as work, sports or social activities, driving, making or keeping plans for activities. Ability to sleep. C, ability to concentrate or stay focused. D, ability to care for self, family, and others. E, impacts on relationships. F, stigma or embarrassment. G, social discrimination. H, emotional impacts such as mood, fear, hopelessness. And I, other impacts not mentioned.
You're missing one very important one. Just to live. Megan and I, our disorder is triggered by food, by eating. I have a mitochondrial disorder, and that causes a functional motility disorder in my gut. So My gut doesn't work, so my ability to eat, you have to eat to live. I'm on IVs that sustain my life, and the IV goes into my heart, and I just had a bacterial infection of my bloodstream, and it's life-threatening. So it's very tricky and challenging when something as simple as just taking a bite of food causes extreme severe pain. I don't.
Thank you for sharing that. For you to summarize what we're seeing in the room, followed by the webcast for this polling question, please.
So for the room, we have about 70% of the responses on ability to participate in or perform activities, such as work, social activities, things like that. For D, 47% are for self and family.
Great. I'll take over from here then for the in-person. 33% for the emotional impacts such as mood, fear, and hopelessness, and then a range across the board for the other impacts, including other impacts not mentioned. So we will come back to that and hear a little bit more. And what do we see on the web, Graham?
Some similarities and some differences. 93% said ability to participate in or perform activities. But then it was followed by ability to fall asleep and stay asleep with almost 55%, and 50% on emotional impacts such as mood, fear, hopelessness, and 50% as well on ability to care for self and family.
Okay, thank you. Before we start taking comments, I do want to tee up the phone line so we can take a couple of callers before we break for lunch. That's always a fun activity. There's a operator that will start speaking from the ceiling. So 69% of you indicated the ability to participate in or perform activities as being a bothersome impact or not being able to. One thing that we read in comments is that it's not necessarily the physical ability to participate that's impacted, but it's just the fear and the anxiety that you're going to experience chronic pain that you don't even try to do some of the activities and so forth. I'm seeing head nods. Does that resonate? No, not necessarily with everyone. Could we get a microphone? Thanks.
Okay, so every summer I test myself to see how long I can stay out in the sun. And of course, I end up very, very sick. So it's,
you just hold the mic.
The question is, the impact is, I'm almost convinced that I don't have this. And then I test myself again every summer because who is allergic to the sun? Nobody. And then I get sick again. And it goes on and on and on. So, like food, how do you avoid the sun? And who wants to be with somebody who can't go out in the sun? Nobody. So there are limitations that are so limited at all. And by the way, with the doctor, I'm a 93-year-old man away from being cut from the only medication that allows me to stay focused while I detox the calcium out of my body. Without those medications, that's it. It's done. Nobody will take me as a patient. And I'm in New York City. The doctors outnumber us, and nobody will take me.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Sarah, I think you.
Hello, everyone. I'm a caretaker. My daughter has sickle cell disease. So some people, it hasn't been an onset for her. She's had it since birth. And we go back and forth about, why don't you get your driver's permit? Well, she has anxiety. She could have a sickle cell pain crisis at any time. So, for the normal things, she hasn't experienced family and a boyfriend, because what if we go out and I have a pain crisis, or we go out dancing? So, but one of the things I also wanted to say is, you all are not addicts. You're not standing in the corner scratching and digging. You don't have, tracks up and down your arm. They're real people with real symptoms. And as a caregiver of someone who's had sickle cell disease her whole life, I think I know better what she needs, if she's in pain or not really, and how extreme it is. And when we go to the hospital with our loved one and we tell you they need this, they need that, because they can't speak, because they're in so much pain, listen to us. And something as simple as today is going to rain, tomorrow it's going to be 90 degrees, the next day is going to be 50 degrees, will send my daughter into a pain crisis. So every day we don't know, is this going to be the day? Am I going to get a phone call while I'm at work? I used to work in Washington and we lived in Baltimore. So which train can I jump on in case she has a pain crisis? So please, when they tell you they're in pain, when their caregiver says they're in pain, hear them. And can we acting medicine? The only pain medicine, if she doesn't take oxycodone, tramadol, and naproxen at home, is morphine. And I have to go through 4 phone calls before I can get through to someone to tell me it's okay to bring her to the emergency room to get morphine. And it takes 5 doses for her sickle cell to get to a level where she can speak to me. If you guys can come up with something better, please do it.
Thank you for sharing your comment. Thank you so much. A couple more comments on the ability to participate and perform activities or your limitations in regards to that. Maybe one more from right here. How about Joe?
First of all, I want to thank you guys for being here and holding this. I'm really grateful, and I think everybody in this room is very grateful for you holding this meeting. I also have adhesive arachnoiditis. One thing I wanted to say, how they say like now pain doesn't matter. If I wanted to complain about the pain, I had a staph infection up in my sinus cavity, and I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't keep complaining, But another thing that I wanted to ask you guys, please, that you could do something about. If a person has cancer, they might give them medication now, okay? Where I live, even that's becoming rare, all right? And if you live with a lifelong disease, you can't get pain care now? I mean, that's terrible. When did we become so, just ignoring people's pain and suffering? That's really sad, I think we can do better, with this as a drug development thing, we would all love it if there was a drug, like we didn't need to take opiates, But for some people, it works for them, and it helps them. It wakes, and I also, when I was first diagnosed, I couldn't even find a doctor. And if you're poor, good luck finding pain care, okay? And now we're treated like criminals. So, and it has to change, and you guys could do a lot for that, so.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for that comment. Okay, sorry, if you could just wait for a microphone just so that you can also hear what we're. I think we have one comment. Right, go ahead.
When you talk about, does my wife keep herself from doing the things she wants to do because of a fear of the pain? That happens sometimes, but more often than not, every time she has a good day, she tries to push it because she's trying to prove that she's a person. Because she's gotten to the point of not seeing herself as a person because she can't do the things she wants to do. I actually at times have to kind of yell at her and say, you can't do that today because it's going to cost you 5 days. Even just traveling here, she was laid out in the back of laid down the whole way here. I drove everywhere. And just being in the back of the car and getting bounced a little bit while she's laying down, she was able to sit for 15 minutes. The rest of the time, she's been laying down over here, sitting down over here, standing over here, walking around, trying to do something to alleviate the pain. The only reason we're here with the pain that she had today is because I knew that mentally she would never survive this if she wasn't able to sit here and at least have some comment to say something about how she was feeling. I have to make choices every day about what she can do and can't do because she can't always trust her own judgment because she's trying to be a person again.
Thank you. We really, really appreciate all of you all being here today. I think you raised a really interesting point of what does a good day look like? Could we have other folks comment on what a good day may look like versus a bad day or a typical day for that matter? Maybe a comment right here.
Okay, my name is Jennifer, and I came from Ohio. I wanted to say that a good day. Most of the patients in here, you have them every now and then. They come to you on a whim. They come to you when they choose, but I don't know that there's any way to properly describe what it's like to be 47 years old and not be able to participate in life the way other 47-year-olds can participate. And I really think that it's important for the FDA to hear. I know that the whole general purpose of today's thing was about drug from that perspective. I think everybody in this room has been affected by what's been going on across the country. And truly, I think before we look at drug development and treatment options, there's this looming question that's out there about having accessibility to care in the first place. And right now, the number of certified pain physicians in the United States is pitifully low. And unfortunately, there's 100 million of us. You put that slide up earlier. There's not near enough to treat. You can't focus on drug developments and things to treat patients if there's nobody who's going to write the script or who's going to see us or maintain and coordinate our care.
Thank you. Thank you. You raise a really important point, and we do want to hear all of your experiences with everything that you're using to manage your chronic pain, and we really will elicit some of those perspectives more in the afternoon and really hear from all of you so that it can inform our work and those of other federal efforts as well. I see a comment all the way in the back.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I used to work at the NIH. I was a postdoc doing research in biochemistry. And back then, a good day would be a day that I could work a full 12 hours, the same as my peers. And I couldn't go back to work. Probably that day, maybe the day after. And so a good day was struggling for about a year just to be able to keep up with my fellow peers. Then, about 2 years ago, my ankle gave out. I tore all the ligaments. Since then, the last 2 years, I've had 3 different surgeries for both my ankles and my knee. A good day is to be able to stand here, covered in braces. I can actually stand. I can actually move. A good day is to be able to have a conversation that you can actually think for 5 minutes to just talk about what the weather's like outside. Is it sunny? Is it cold? I don't know, because I can't stand up for maybe 10 minutes in the heat. And that's a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I do want to go to the web really quickly to see what folks on the webcast are saying. Shannon or Leela, would you mind summarizing some of the web comments for us?
Sure. So lots of the same things that we've been hearing in the room. One comment said that everyone has a list of what they would like to be able to do, and a good day means we can pick one thing we lost and have that back for one day. I think that's a powerful sentiment. People on the web mentioned wanting to be a whole person again and regain that sense of normalcy that people with chronic pain desire.
Thank you, Leela. And for those of you on the web, there were a lot of folks in the room nodding their heads, so your comments really resonated with them as well. Graham, do we have any phone callers? Okay. Should I just speak to the operator then? Okay. Operator, can we have our first caller, please?
Thank you. Our first question comes from Susan. Your line is open. Susan, your line is open. Please comment.
Susan?
We'll go to our next question. Our next question or comment comes from Andrea. Your line is open.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having this meeting and listening to us. I've been suffering for over 25 years from several painful diseases, and I was managed on medication, on opioid medication, and I did have some of a normal life, but now because our doctors and our medicines and pretty much calling us addicts and treating us like addicts, now my doctor is forcing everybody to drastically taper my medication and all his patients' medication because of pressure from the government. So now I am basically bedridden and homebound, and I have no life anymore. And there's so many people out there every day. I hear the same thing, and we're losing hope. And there's so many people committing suicide because of this. And we just want our life back. We are not addicts. We need our medication to survive. And that's all we're asking for. We just want our voices to be heard and our lives to have meaning so we can enjoy our family and enjoy some type of life without being in excruciating pain. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling in and sharing your perspectives. Thank you. Okay. A couple more folks in the audience. I know, ma'am, you had raised your hand several times.
Thank you. Today, I'm here as a patient. I'm fortunate that my pain is now managed through spinal cord stimulation, but I remember when I was there, and disclosure, I do work for a spinal cord stimulate medical device company, Nuvectra. But when I was in the throes of it, was with maybe I was functional, just getting around. A bad day, it hurt to breathe. And one of the things that I wanted to address on the answers were it was on question A. Could you put that up again? Or the answer was overwhelming on A. One thing that I think hasn't addressed, and I'd like to see if anybody else experienced this, that I had two options. I was either in such excruciating pain that I couldn't participate in anything, or if I took enough medication, okay, but I was in such anyway. Anybody else experience that? Thank you. So no fog? Okay, so I saw some hands and there are others that didn't, so you're fortunate.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll take a couple comments. Kristen?
Thank you. I will say to start with that I'm here wearing two hats. I'm the wife, 45 years, of a severe chronic pain patient who would be here today, except that he's experiencing severe muscle spasms in his back, and so he had to stay at the hotel. So I'm responding on his behalf. I am also the leader and founder, co-leader and co-founder of a very small advocacy group called Families for Intractable Pain Relief. We are not a registered nonprofit. We have no money, so I'm not obligated to anybody for anything. My husband experiences what he would describe as several distinctly different kinds of pain. He has had pain since he was a child, and he is 68 years old. His most debilitating pain is a constant 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, very severe headache that feels as though his skull is being crushed, as though someone made it about 1/4 of an inch too small and then forced his head into it anyway. His high dose of opioid pain medications controls that headache very well, but without it, he would be bedbound once again. And he says it's just unbelievable how severe this crushing headache pain is. We attended your PFDD for fibromyalgia in 2014, and he stood up and told you at that time that since he went on high-dose opioids in 2010, he has had the best quality of life of his entire adult life. So to be able to obtain the medication he needs. But over the last year, there have been many points in time when we were not sure that would be the case. And if his pain medication goes away and is no longer available, his quality of life is finished. It's very important. We need to deal with this opioid supposed crisis that is really a crisis of fentanyl and heroin. My husband has seen the same doctor as Amy and Gary and Lynn and Joe and many other people in this room. And without that doctor, I'm not sure my husband would even still be here. Thank you so much for having this meeting.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for sharing. If folks are okay with going a little bit into lunch, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, we can take a few more comments on this topic. Does that sound okay to folks? Cutting lunch a little short? Okay. We have several folks here.
Hello, I'm Shani Weber, and I appreciate all of y'all coming and for our patient panel speaking. I have hypermobile EDS, and I'm Ehlers-Danlos. Thank you for all of us EDSers who made it to this meeting, because I know that's a channel. If you are on our message board, you know me better as Slap a Smile On. No matter what your condition is, that's another one of our tricks that we do so that people don't know how much pain that we're in. In addressing your question about being able to predict going to be in pain or what triggers, Ehlers-Danlos syndromes are somewhat unique in the medical world in that they cause both chronic pain and acute pain. So we know that we're going to be in pain on any day or night that we're living. However, certain activities will cause acute injuries or acute pain. We can't always predict that. I might be able to give my son a high five one day and be fine. I may another day give my daughter a hug and have my rib go out of place. I may wake up one day all put together, and I may wake up another day and my hip joint is out. It's dislocated, and my husband needs to help me put it in before he goes to work. And so some things we can predict, some things we can't. Some things are consistent triggers. Some things we can do fine on one day, like reaching for a glass, and other days the shoulder dislocates. And yet we wake up each day and we try the best that we can using as many pain management tools as we have available to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. We'll take one more comment from here.
I also have Ehlers-Danlos and a Chiari malformation.
Sorry, just hold it a little bit closer.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I think one thing that's really upsetting is what Amy said, trying to be a mom. I've always been a disabled mom. My son's only known me as a disabled mom. I passed this on to my son. He also deals with chronic pain. He has a Chiari malformation. In message are we sending to our children when we are fighting for pain control and can't get it? Our doctors are looking at us saying, I don't want to risk going to jail, so I want to reduce your dose. What does that say to my son? What hope does he have? And there are many Ehlers-Danlos children.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. And we have one more comment from back here in the middle.
Thank you. I'm representing friends and family who have been can't come because of their pain. And when you, I know people who a good day means they leave a room in their house that they live in because they can't go anywhere else because they're in so much pain and they're not being treated for it. They've been convinced there's nothing out there. We've heard from people in New York City who can't get treatment. People in rural areas are desperate. They have no one, and when they're told there's no one, they can't go anywhere when it's 4 and 5 or even 2 hours because they can't make the car trip. So they suffer in a single room, alone from everyone. And when you ask the question of how many years people are in pain, imagine that for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 or more years. When a good day means you go from one room in your house to another, and maybe you can talk with friends or family, maybe not. It's really important to understand those of us here are here either as advocates or people who are already medicated and are benefiting from that at the moment. But those who have medicine are terrified it's going to be taken away at the next pharmacy visit, at the next doctor's visit, at any possible moment, that they go to their doctor's office and it's shuttered. So there's that panic that's there. And the people who have pain and aren't treated, you can't get treated for anxiety if you have anxiety due to your pain condition or due to just being terrified at that chronic pain patients are in right now. For people to understand that, and we're glad for you to listen, but what is the actionable event that's going to come out of this that will help pain patients? Because we need more than listening. We need action. We need it now with people dying, people terrified, and people being tortured by their life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Megan.
And you used the phrase climate, and I think we're going to use most of the time this afternoon to really learn from you a little bit more or a lot more about your experiences in the current and really probe a little bit into the nuances. We heard of things such as pain contracts, the scheduling burden, and many other really important issues that we do want to hear about. I do want to take a look at my FDA panel and see if they have any more questions for this morning aspect. We do have one. Amy, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Amy Taylor, and I said at the beginning I'm with the Division of Pediatric and Maternal Health. And I realized that the question where it was asked whether you or your family member is under 18, that was 0 in the room, but I would suspect there are some people on the web, and I've heard that there's some people who have had their pain from the time as a child up into adulthood. So we would be interested in hearing about these same questions, but effective children under 18. So either into the docket or if you have some comments here, both on topic 1 and topic 2, so that we have a better understanding as we're developing treatments for pediatric patients.
Thank you, Amy. Are there a couple of folks really quickly that could speak to the pediatric perspective? But I will really ask that you elaborate about this experience in the public docket, because I know oh, okay, yes, let's definitely.
I'm actually 25 now, but I've had sickle cell my whole life. And just as a kid, being able to play with your sibling or your other friends in the neighborhood, such as playing in the snow, can't do it. Just being able to live, period. As a child, it's hard to deal with not being able to fully explain your condition to your friends to make them understand that it's not that I don't want to do it, but the results of doing it. As my mom said, laying in the bed and having to take morphine 5 doses before I'm out of the pain and can even tell my mom everything that's wrong. And then going home after, and the next 2 or 3 days, I'm on pain meds, and basically just laying in my bed sleep. And then as an adult, you have your cycle, and that increases the pain because you're losing blood. And the more blood you lose, of course, a crisis comes. So now birth control, and using birth control, of course, gaining weight with that, and being able to figure out a diet around it is a challenge.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Meghana, maybe one more perspective on the pediatric perspective, perhaps, or if we could do just one more, and then we will really have to break for lunch so that. Okay.
I'm 43 years old today, and thank you.
Happy birthday.
And I've been in chronic pain for my entire life, so I've never known a day without pain myself. But your question didn't ask for more than one perspective. I also have a daughter who she's 6 years old now, so I also represent her. And she has a lot of challenges with her friendships and her life. She is on the swim team, but she misses days every week for doing that, and her coaches don't understand, and it's hard to explain to them. And there aren't any treatments for her. I can't give her opiates, and no doctor would ever do that. I can't give her any medications really because she's 6 years old, and there aren't any medications for her. There aren't physical therapists who really know what to do for her. There's nothing to do to treat her pain at all. There are no treatments for her. There's no doctors that have any idea what to do for her. So I have a daughter that is very sick, and there's nothing to do for her. She's in pain all the time, and that's her life.
Thank you for sharing that. Folks on the web, just really quickly, are we hearing anything regarding the pediatric perspective, perhaps, or the young adult, adolescent perspective?
Hi, Megan. Yes, we definitely are. We're encouraging all of them to submit their comments to the docket. For example, some individuals who may have chronic pancreatitis as children, a variety of different conditions.
Sure. And I think, sorry, this one comment and then we'll
Hi, I'll try to be fast. My name is Mary Ann Farrell. I'm here for myself, suffering chronic pain after 34 years from 2 car accidents. I'm here representing my support group, Chronic Pain Support Group, for the American Chronic Pain Association. The people online and find the American Chronic Pain Association. We are trying to help people like all of us here with pain. My life has been turned upside down by chronic pain. I have been in a psychiatric unit of a hospital for 2 weeks because of suicidal thoughts, because of my pain. I had to give up my profession, which was a music teacher. So it affects not just me, the people in my support group, it affects my families, my children. I hear all of you. I feel for you. I may be one of the older people here. It's been a lifelong struggle. Nobody ever heard of fibromyalgia when I was finally diagnosed with it. So I want to thank you for having this meeting. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate everybody coming.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It is 12:10, so I'll just do another quick look at my FDA colleagues for follow-up questions. And if not, I think we will go ahead and take a full hour break, 1 hour lunch break, and we'll try to make up the time in the afternoon. I do want to put another reminder up for the public docket. Please expand on what we've discussed so far already today. Give us more details. Your experiences that you shared already have provided us already such rich detail, but please elaborate on the docket and encourage others from your support groups, for example, to submit comments as well. I also do want to just touch upon one thing. Topics that we're talking about today are sensitive. Topics that we heard talk about this afternoon is self-harm or suicide ideation. We want to remind you to seek any help if you need it. We have the information for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline on our slide, which will come up shortly. And so we just wanted to put that out there. With that, we'll take a break for lunch. And yes, feel free to put the clickers on the chairs and so forth, and we'll just make sure everyone has a clicker again in the afternoon. Thank you all. If you pre-ordered lunch, you'll just be able to exchange your ticket for your bagged lunch outside. There's more seating and food into the room.